I just wish someone could give me 13 reasons why I should live without Justin Foley.
Ever since the day that you went away, you went away.
Hi guys, my name is Andra and I make mostly commentary videos. Today's video is gonna be something more about pop culture rather than YouTube commentary, because it is Pride Month and I'm a proud bisexual woman. So I just want to say happy Pride Month. This is very exciting for me because living in the UK has been kind of refreshing about, you know, how open I can be with this side of myself, because back home I live in used to live in Eastern Europe, in Romania, and if you know anything about Eastern Europe, we don't like the gays. So I thought a good way to celebrate Pride Month would be to kind of look back on the mistakes that have been made in the media, more specifically TV shows, because I am a film production graduate. I have specialized in script writing, so I do know a lot about how to write a successful screenplay, and I can kind of shed some light onto where these people have gone wrong with their LGBTQ plus representation, because there is still a long way to go for us when it comes to this certain thing. So this is not going to be a deep dive into a lot of terminology, because I want this video to be accessible for everyone, even though you don't have a background in media. So I'm just going to explain in very simple terminology what I mean. If you have been around for long enough to know about the bury your gays trope,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
What up happened to free love? Oh, I wanna know what up happened to free love?
So on the 3rd of March 2016, the TV show by the CW named The 100 has killed off their most amazing character, lesbian commander Lexa, and that started a internet riot against the way that us LGBTQ plus people have been treated in the modern media forms such as TV shows and movies. And since then there have been a lot of other characters who have died who fall under this umbrella of LGBTQ plus, and I think Lexa is the most popular one, because after her death there have been countless of petitions in regards to treating the gay characters better. There have been a lot of fundraisers. The most popular one that I can remember during the time was the Trevor Project, which is an LGBTQ plus organization. I think they help like the homeless youth and such. And I remember there have been a lot of artistic and creative projects that have managed to raise money from people to just protect the youth of LGBTQ plus. Don't forget that only a few months after that, in June of 2016, there has been the Orlando Pulse Club shooting, which was obviously targeted against LGBTQ plus people, and that is just disgusting to think about, that the media hates us, but then, you know, the common people hate us as well. So Pride Month is very important. Don't forget how it all started. Stonewall was started by 2 transgender women of color, and that is something we should not forget. Minorities exist even within the LGBTQ plus community. There are transgender people still discriminated in the community. There are people like me who are bisexual, and some people don't want us in the community because we are half straight. This is not how bisexuality works, as you probably know, but that is what people think. I just want to take a moment to go down memory lane and talk about the things that happened after Lexa's death, and then I'm gonna go into more detail on 5 good examples of LGBTQ plus representation, then 5 bad examples. And I'm gonna explain why each of them are good or bad. And they are all in TV shows, but there are loads more in movies that I'm not gonna be discussing, because this video would be like 10 hours long if I had to discuss everything. And video games, I think, so far have been the best representation for LGBTQ plus people. For example, Life is Strange. It does have the bury your gay trope to some extent, because you can choose to get Chloe to die at the end, but that is a choice that is left up to the player, so they don't force that on you. And there is also games like Dragon Age, which feature a lot of options for people who are not straight. For example, Dragon Age 2 has all the characters being either bisexual or pansexual, depending how you interpret it, because regardless of the gender you choose for your character, you can romance any of the characters. So that is very open-minded, that is amazing, that is what a lot of video games should start doing, honestly. There will be a lot of spoilers ahead, so please, if you don't want to get spoiled, just try to watch this on mute and see the list of the TV shows, because that will be like helpful if you want to watch TV shows. This is mostly commentary, so I cannot leave it without spoilers, unfortunately. So during that time there have been countless of fundraisers, including for the Trevor Project, like I said. I got this magazine back then, and it was after Lexa died. They decided to do this fanzine with just a lot of different fan art, some writing. I'm gonna show you a few of the pages because I feel like that is cool to do.
Live your life, man. If you don't like gay marriage, the nigga don't get gay married.
And I'm just gonna show you the drawings because obviously this video will be too long if I show you all the writing. A lot of this fan art can be found actually on Tumblr, because I've seen it before buying the zine, which is pretty cool. All the profits from this have gone to people who are from the LGBTQ community, who have been ostracized by their families, you know, kicked out of their homes and stuff. And I feel like, if I remember correctly, this was 4 years ago, so I might not like have all the details down, but if I remember correctly, this has included like transgender people paying for their transitions, like hormones and such. And yeah, I feel like that's great. And just say like we deserve better, like we fucking do as LGBTQ plus people. We've kind of come a long way, but it's still a long way to go, I feel like. And I had this as my display for my phone at some point because it was a Tumblr. Just like, I used to love Lexa so much. I wanted to buy this one to put on my wall because they had like big like tapestries with this, and it was kind of dope. So these are all like all the artists. I'm gonna be putting their names, and yeah. It's like now is the last season, and if Clark's gonna end up in a heterosexual relationship, I'm gonna feel betrayed, because after all we've been through, if we just put her with like a fucking like straight man, like I don't want to see that. Yeah, so this is something that I've got throughout that time. I just wanna say that it has been amazing to get something so beautiful and also help people, because this has been a fundraiser. I think they got zero of the profit, so that's amazing. All these artists have come together to try to help a great cause. This was back in 2016, so obviously these are not for sale anymore, so that's why I'm showing it to you guys. So I'm gonna get started on the good examples first, because I feel like we all need a little bit of positivity during this time. There is a lot of oppression still going on if you look at the laws that are going on right now in the US, in the UK, as well as in my country, to be fair, because they want to make sexual education forbidden so that people cannot find out about homosexuality, as if we don't have the internet, but yeah, whatever. So I'm just gonna start on the good 5 examples of LGBTQ plus representation in TV, and I'm gonna justify why I like this and maybe where they can improve on if I think of something. So the first example, this is my favorite TV show that includes characters that are minorities like that. It's Sense8. This show has been unfortunately cancelled for whatever reason. I understand to some extent why they have cancelled it, because it used to be filmed in a lot of countries, so obviously budget restrictions were big, but they cancelled it just as the characters started being in the same place. So the budget would have been greatly reduced, but I don't know what happened behind the scenes. They didn't really market it that much, which upset me, because Netflix has a tendency of marketing the garbage shows and kind of ignoring the good ones. This has happened with another good show called The OA. But let's remember Sense8 for like what it used to be, because it was amazing. So we had one gay couple, one lesbian couple. All of the characters were pretty much pansexual, and one of the women, the main characters, was actually transgender, male to female. They showed the whole troubles that she had to go through with her family, not being tolerant, and she rose above it all, and she came to accept herself. It was just amazing, very inspirational. All the characters have different cultural backgrounds. So we've got a girl from Iceland, a guy from, I think, Mexico, someone who's American, well, two of them are American actually, a German guy, an Indian woman, a guy from, I think it's from Nigeria, and another girl who's from Korea. So this is a very mixed cast, but yeah, they all have like a very mixed backgrounds. All the actors are very talented. A lot of them have accents, which is like my thing, because I never see people with accents like mine, you know, like European accents. And to have a German guy, like, that made me happy, because usually the German characters are played by British or American people, and it's just a big deal for me. But yeah, all of them are pansexual. They have like big like orgies and stuff at some point, which is like, it's kind of cool. You don't really see that before, but it's like an artistic way. Like, all the sex scenes are very artistic. It's not anything that is actually dirty. It's nothing obscene, you know. It's all like artistic and beautiful, and the way that it's framed is like a painting from the Middle Ages. Like, think about the birth of Venus. Like, that is how they portray the human body, like kind of like Venus is portrayed in the painting by Botticelli. So that's great. It's all like cinematic masterpiece, amazing story. The stories about how they form the human connections together are absolutely amazing, because they all have such different personalities, but they all come together, and it's all about, you know, diversity in the world and multiculturalism, and it's just, I love it. It's a unique show. You can get to know all these cultures, and you can visit these countries just by watching, you know, on your laptop or your TV screen, and it just feels so authentic. A lot of TV shows that portray other countries don't actually portray them accurately, but this is amazing. Plus, the people who actually created the show are the same sisters who created The Matrix, so they are two transgender women. So you are supporting the show by watching like that as well. I know it has been cancelled. The ending has been rushed because they were only given one episode to wrap the whole thing up, which sucks on Netflix side, but you can still enjoy it as what it is, because it was beautiful. So the next one is called When We Rise. It's actually a docudrama. It has a big variety of characters. It shows the oppression of our community from the 1970s and onwards to the present. And it's just amazing. They have a variety of actors, a variety of characters, different sexual orientations, different representation. They have, if I recall correctly, like drag queens, transgenders. It's just like a lot of stuff. And it also teaches you history, because a lot of the stuff that is happened in America for me is not really something I know a lot about, because obviously I'm from Eastern Europe. We don't get taught about Stonewall, but when I realized stuff about myself, I went into the deep dives of like researching all these things, and you know, I ended up finding out a lot, but I still feel like I don't know enough. So this has been very, very educational. If you're not American, 100% recommend it. Even if you are American, I would say this is a good watch. The third TV show is called The Bold Type. So The Bold Type is a TV show about women's empowerment, and one of the three main characters is a bisexual woman, and I felt like that journey that she had throughout the show has been very akin to my own journey, because she had a while where she thought that she was a lesbian, and then she realized that she's actually bisexual, and this is how I've operated. I used to think when I was very young, like between 10 and 14 maybe, that I only like girls. I didn't tell anyone, but that's what I thought, because I haven't liked any man until I was 15. Like, I didn't have the school crushes that you normally have on guys, only on girls, which, like, for me, obviously, I didn't really know what that meant at that time, but, like, I didn't think I liked guys. And going from thinking you're a lesbian to thinking you're bisexual, that's, like, a rare thing, because usually they do it the other way around. You know what? Like, they have a character who has this suppressed heteronormativity inside of them, so they think they are bisexual, but then they realize, no, it's not even that. There have been complaints in regards to this actually on the internet, saying that why did you put this character named Kat with a girl named Adina and then you put her with a guy. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen. And anyways, if you're bisexual, it can go either way. So I don't feel like as a bisexual character you have to necessarily end up with a man or a woman or whatever. Like, I don't think it's a set path. I know I said that I don't want Clark to end up with a man, but that's just because of how disrespectfully Lexa has been treated. It has nothing to do with being a bisexual you have to end up in the same-sex relationship. I don't think that. But with Kat, I don't think that's the end of her journey. I don't think she's gonna stay with a man. If the TV show continues, it's gonna be more complex, I think, in my opinion. The fourth example is Winona Herb. So Winona Herb has this coming out realization journey of a character who thinks she's straight, but then she realizes she's not. And it is very realistic, very human, very like clumsy and funny, and it's not like all serious. And their relationship is very functional compared to the heterosexual relationship in that show, which is insane, because usually you would have the gays portrayed as toxic because of the people who are writing the show. They are like straight people and don't know how to write a gay relationship, but this has been like amazing. There's a lot of powerful women as well in the TV show, so I would recommend watching that 100% as well. And my last example is kind of a standalone episode of Black Mirror, San Junipero. You probably have seen that. If you are part of this community, this has been like a big thing. They managed to subvert the trope of bury your gays into your gays are dead, but their minds are living on forever in this like virtual reality thing, you know, with their brains are in a computer now, and that's so dope. And I just felt like that was very, very cute to portray this relationship. Black Mirror is a very sad and tragic TV show. So if you watch, most of the episodes have a horrible ending. So to have the only episode at the time, because I think after that there has been one or two more episodes that had a happy ending, but at the time when this season came out, this was the only episode in all of three or four seasons, I think it was 4 seasons, that had a happy ending, and it was the episode with the lesbians, and I was just like so happy about that. And now on to the tragedy. Some of these examples that I'm calling bad are actually examples that used to be good at some point, but they ruined it with the writing. So please bear that in mind. This is not me bashing the whole narrative of these TV shows, just parts of it, and I'm gonna explain exactly why and what. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the 100 because I've already mentioned it before. Clark and Lexa have been the first reasonably healthy, let's say, because it wasn't always a healthy relationship, but they have been the first reasonably healthy relationship that I've seen on TV that was between two women. And they have inspired me so much to be more of myself. And I don't care that Lexa died. This is not the problem, the way that, you know, it's not a problem that she died, the problem is the way that she died. She died with a bullet wound that was meant to be the bullet for her lover. So this is just offensive. She died as a mistake. This was all, you know, a stray bullet that was supposed to hit Clark, and actually it hit Lexa. And imagine the guilt that a character like Clark had to carry with the rest, you know, in the rest of her life, with knowing that Lexa died because of a bullet that was meant for her. So they traumatized this girl who has already been through so much shit. They completely traumatized her, and they gave Lexa the most bullshit death ever. So you're telling me a bullet wound in the stomach kills you like that, but when that other guy, Jackson, had a spear go through his body like that, he was alive. All these characters have got in worse situations. Octavia was pushed off a fucking cliff and she was alive. And Lexa gets a bullet in her stomach and she dies. This was horrible. This character has been a commander, this character has been a warrior, and you are giving her this death. Just give her a death worthy of her. Give her the death of a warrior. This is how it should have gone. And Clark, who has medical training, who has healed people from worse, suddenly puts water on a bullet wound, and this is how she tries to heal Lexa, her girlfriend. Are you actually insane? Are you out of your mind? This is just the stupidest thing that I have had to see in television for a while now. And it wasn't until Game of Thrones season 8 that I saw something equally as stupid. So that says a lot, doesn't it? So yes, you can kill the gay characters, but when the most important character that you have killed so far, well, the most two important characters that you killed actually, have been a lesbian woman and a black man. Like, what do you think this is gonna say? All the fucking white saviors are still alive in the TV show, and they have been through worse and they are still alive. This says you are jumping the gun to kill minorities first. Why? Ask yourself that. Why? The second show was actually another one that I had used to love, and it just destroyed my fucking life. It's The Magicians. The Magicians decided to kill their main character, Quentin Coldwater, by him pretty much suiciding. It is not portrayed as suicide, but that's what it is. He knows that he's gonna die. He saves his abusive ex-girlfriend, and he doesn't get his last reunion with the man that he's in love with, that has been separated from him, and his only mission throughout the whole season was to save that man, but then suddenly he dies for his abusive ex-girlfriend. After getting back with her, even though he's still in love with that guy. So this guy is a bisexual character, but you want him to be straight so bad that you have him to keep on getting back with his abusive ex-girlfriend. Why? And this character has struggled with depression, and he's had suicide attempts prior to the plot of the TV show. And you see this beautiful journey of this man who had depression. Like, I had depression. This was inspiring to me up until that episode when he decides to kill himself. So why do you get all this character development only to go back to square one and kill him in the same fucking way? Why? And the argument of the showrunners was, we wanted to show that nobody is safe in our stories because we killed the white male lead. This is not how it works. He was a white male lead, but he wasn't, the invincible type of character is the straight white male. He wasn't straight. That is the whole point. You killed a gay character and you justified it by, he's the most privileged one, and we wanted to show that there is no hero in our story. Well, he's not the most privileged one because he didn't even come out to his friends before dying. So he was a man who suffered from depression, and the man who was hiding his secret identity, or like a big part of who he was just hidden from his friends, and it was disgusting. And what you did was horrible. Next season you get Elliot, the man who was grieving the death of Quentin, just go around having sex with random people, and you don't get him talk about it openly. You get snippets of him talking with his best friend and then talking with that abusive ex that I was mentioning, but you don't get him fully confronting his grief head on. You don't get that. He is suppressing his feelings, he is drinking and doing drugs, and he's like spiraling because of Quentin's death, and you don't get him moving on. Even at the end of the TV show, because this was the last season, you don't get a resolution on the character of Elliot, and I hate that. The next example is not going to be an LGBTQ character, but it's going to be an actor. So this is something that recently happened. It's 13 Reasons Why killed their character Justin Foley. He died of AIDS. The main actor is either gay or bisexual, I'm not too sure because I've seen conflicting stories on the internet, but he's not straight. And he was or is dating Sam Smith, who is gender neutral. So, he's not dating a woman, that's my point. Sam Smith is biologically a male. So, the stereotypes with two males having sex and getting AIDS, that whole jazz. I don't have to explain that to you. You get the character played by a potentially gay person in real life, or let's use gay as an umbrella term because that's where he belongs. He's LGBTQ+. So yeah, a gay person dies of AIDS during Pride Month in his first big acting gig ever. During Pride Month. And that's not how AIDS develops. So people have been talking online to get from HIV to AIDS, it takes 5 to 10 years. This character had like a few months and he just had AIDS, like in a few months since having HIV. And how did he get HIV? From prostituting himself on the streets to get money for drugs, food, whatever, because he was homeless. Are we gonna talk about how that was rape? You had this man get HIV from being raped. Because you cannot consent to, I need to do this so I can get food, so I can survive. That is not consent. That is a circumstance which forces you to do these things. And yeah, he's a rape survivor. And his girlfriend, who he leaves behind because he's a straight character in the TV show, he's only like an actor who is gay, but in the TV show he's straight, as far as you know. His girlfriend is also a rape survivor, whose former best friend had killed herself, and whose other former best friend had killed someone for her, and she's like coping with all of that, as well as having been raped, obviously. So this girl has suffered so much, and what do you do with her? You get her to suffer the loss of potentially the love of her life as well. The only person who could understand her, because he was, as well as her, raped. And you have to hurt not only him, but her as well as characters. And everyone else gets their fucking happy ending. All the straight people get their happy ending. And I just thought, like, how disgusting is that? Good fucking thing that you had Alex, another character, come out as gay in the last season, because we are so inclusive, we want to get inclusiveness points, but then you kill the gay actor. For what? They said they wanted to kill him because it would have the highest emotional impact. I just want to say, the world is a piece of crap already. Like, this world sucks. 2020 sucks. Even the years before that, for a while, the world has sucked. Why do you want shock value to always be negative? Why can't emotions be positive emotions? Why can't we be happy? Why can't we see something wholesome for a TV show ending? For once, for once in our fucking lives, we don't want sadness anymore. This is why you watch TV, for escapism. If the world outside is shit, you want the world inside, on your computer screen or TV screen, to be different, right? Yes, I assume so. Because what is this shit? And since we're on the topic of 13 Reasons Why, I just want to say, the people who think that Justin wanted Jessica to get raped by his best friend, you suck and you are fucking assholes. That guy was drunk, reliving his PTSD trauma. He was having a full-on like dissociation episode because he had been molested as a child. So he couldn't defend her, so that is why he didn't run, he didn't come to get the police, he didn't get his friends to help him, because he was frozen. We have the instinct of fight or flight. When you cannot do the actual flight part of it because you are being held down or you are just, your body doesn't want to move. Flight also means that you have this moment where your brain like just leaves your body and you don't feel anything and you dissociate. This happens. This is a natural reaction. And if you think that he did the wrong thing, he was as traumatized as she was, and you can fuck off. The fourth TV show is also a big offender that I used to love so much, and it had hurt me so much, and that is Siren. Siren had the first polyamorous relationship that I have seen on television between a mermaid and then like this white guy and this woman of color. So they were all three together. It was super sweet. Obviously both women were bisexual, and what did they do? They decided to take the woman of color out of the equation and make the other relationship into a straight relationship between the Siren and the other guy. And then they gave the woman of color another interest, a man. So they got this polyamorous, beautiful LGBTQ plus whatever throuple, and they made it into two straight couples. And because the man in the throuple broke up with the woman of color, so Ben broke up with Maddie, and then Rin, the mermaid, didn't break up with Maddie, but somehow off screen it might have happened because you see no interaction between them. So I feel like if two people in this polyamorous relationship break up, it doesn't mean that the other people should be broken up. So Rin realistically should have dated both of them, but that didn't happen because they wanted to make it heteronormative, because people have been complaining because, oh my god, we have seen a polyamorous relationship and we are like boomers and we are offended that we see this on TV. So because of people complaining and being just stupid, anti-progressive people, they decided to change the whole thing. in their show and make it the blandest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not gonna forgive that. And the last one is actually not that bad, but for me, I personally don't like it. I have heard a lot of people praising this show for LGBTQ plus representation, but there's a lot of like little things that I don't like. So that is Orange is the New Black. The thing that I don't like about Orange is the New Black, they do have a lot of representation, but I don't feel like it's good representation. Piper and Alex have been very toxic to one another for a lot of the show. And a lot of the relationships have only been relationships of convenience. You know, we're in all this, like, you know, this all-women prison, and we cannot have sex with men, so we're just gonna become lesbians. Like, this is the principle of this. You don't become a lesbian. And that is what I don't like. I remember distinctly that there were characters who said stuff like this. I know Piper did at the start when she was with that man. And then I think Lorna, I think that was her name, I think she was pretty much straight, but she was only gay with Nikki because she had nothing better to do for a while, until maybe she was LGBTQ+. I don't know, because the show doesn't make it clear, because the show only likes to pretend that women just become lesbians when they are bored. And that was a thing for me, that I didn't finish watching the show because I didn't like that. I stopped watching when the big riot happened, and I just felt like a lot of the dialogue was kind of like that, like homophobic in a way. And the whole adding this edginess layer to the like relationships of people, I didn't like that, because a relationship is not supposed to be just like edgy and controversial and whatever. It's supposed to be functional, and they don't really show much of that. So yeah, Orange is the New Black is not as bad as the other ones by like a big stretch. It's just not as bad, but I still didn't like it because it just felt very ignorant to me to watch that. I don't know, I didn't like it. But honestly, if you like it, it's not as guilty of discrimination and of barrier gays, because all the characters were more or less gay. So if someone died, you know, it wasn't like the only token minority died. So I just didn't feel that offended by that, to be honest. The LGBTQ plus community has been kind of targeted by a lot of weird people. Like, you know, when Maps wanted to join our community, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that. I feel like everyone is welcome to watch these shows, to celebrate being LGBTQ+, even though they are maybe straight. They can celebrate the complexity and beauty of these characters without being from that community, but Maps shouldn't be welcome, in my opinion. And as far as I can attest on my own journey, you know, being LGBTQ+ gives you the oppression points, but being bisexual apparently is not acceptable by some people because you are half straight, and that pisses me off. Like, I'm not half straight, half lesbian. This is not a cooking recipe. This is just a complex person, you know? Like, I hate the stereotypes about bisexual people. I hate the whole thing about bisexual people being, like, promiscuous and unfaithful and all that shit. Like, it's just untrue, and we have a long way to go. Like I said before, it's just insane to me. With women who are bisexual, it's actually, they are straight, but they are sometimes having fun. This is another stereotype. But when men are bisexual, they are gay, but they're trying to mask being gay. So all I'm hearing from this is it all comes down to being attracting to men. It all comes down to the male gaze and to the fucking patriarchy. Like, just stick it to the patriarchy. This is not how it is. Actually, I like women more than men. So I feel like I've got bad news for you, men who objectify bisexual women by, you know, cute lesbian sex, but they're actually straight. This is not how it fucking works. So that's it for today's video. I just want to say one more time, happy Pride Month to everyone, and do not forget, there are still riots going on in America. Black lives will always matter, and we have to do our part in either protecting LGBTQ plus minorities or black minorities, or just both. You know, if you are a person who has a platform or any form of privilege, please share the messages. And I'm gonna be leaving resources on how to help Black Lives Matter down in the description box, as well as somewhere here. So if you're interested in that, please watch that video. Thank you so much for watching this. This has been pretty much everything for today. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up. If you have any other TV show or movie or anything that like pissed you off or that you think is amazing LGBTQ plus representation that everyone should see, please leave it in the comment box down below. Thank you so much for watching.
Ever since the day that you